Hello everybody, it's day 2 of how to get your groove back. I want to welcome every single person who is new, and I want to welcome those of you who were here yesterday. So I want to start with just quick recap for everyone who has tagged me or Facebooked me or some way communicated with me. They weren't able to get emails or the workbook and all of that magical stuff. I believe I've got caught up with everyone. If you still do not have it and you have checked your spam, do me a favor, leave me a comment below and I will make sure that you are taken care of, my loves. Second piece, every night, Monday through Thursday, I will be here 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The replays, the videos will stay up here in the group for a couple of hours and they will come down, but you will get a replay page of every day of the challenge. So just so you are caught up, let's see. I think I got all of my logistics stuff out of the way. So on to the meat of the program. All right, so let's do a quick recap. Yesterday was day 1 and it was all about choices. And the phrase that I heard last year, I went to a conference and I heard this phrase and it's become my mantra. Make a decision and make it work, right? So many of us are always looking for the poop on the carpet, trying to find a way to prove ourselves wrong. So prove ourselves right so that we can be like, see, wasn't supposed to lose the weight, wasn't supposed to do that. But if I say, you know what, this is what I'm gonna do and come hell or high water, I'm gonna figure this shit out, I've made a choice. And that's what yesterday was about. It was how do you make that choice? And how do you make one choice? Because again, this week, I want all of you to get a win. I want all of you to be like, look at me, I can do this. Second part was, I have to say, what do I stand for, right? If we go to any company, every company will tell you what their mission statement is, right? I remember when I first started working in corporate, I had to remember the company's mission statement. And it was like all the employees had to remember their mission statement and their values. And that was so that was how we made decisions. That was how we decided who were going to be our business partners. Cheryl is on the line, and Cheryl remembers. Remember at Forrester, we had to remember the freaking vision, mission, purpose, and all that other stuff. So we had to remember it. And so that's what I want it to be like in your life. You have a mission, you have a vision, you have a purpose. And as you are creating these core values, hey Sasha, hey Cheryl, as you're creating your core values, you can start making decisions, choices, whether your decisions are leading you further away from your core values or leading you to your core values. So let's say I chose balance as my core value. And if I was always, not working out, I was always eating if food was going out of style, would that be balance? No. So I could always ask myself, is that in my core value, right? So that's why I had to do that exercise. And then the other part of the exercise yesterday was I wanted you to dream, right? It's so easy for us to get caught up and locked up in life, right? It's like, oh, my kid needs this and my husband needs that and my mom needs that and my sister. It's so easy to get caught up with everyone else's malarkey that we don't get caught up in our own stuff, right? So the dare to dream was like, okay, what do I want versus what do I have to do to help everyone else have what they want? So that was yesterday's purpose. So don't skip over that. Like I said, we're building a house and this is the foundation. It's not the fun stuff. It's the not so sexy stuff, but it definitely needs to be done. Hey Karina, nice to see you. All right, so today is challenges. And here is where many of us are just like, oh, I have so many, but that's okay. We all have challenges. I have challenges, I do. But the thing about challenges is that I like to name the challenge because many of us know the challenges that come our way. We know the challenges that cause us to always trip over our own feet. think about this. So in the house that I grew up in, like the 5th step from the top was creaky. And when I was sneaking into my house after curfew, sorry if that's a game changer for some of you, I broke the rules as a youngin'. Okay, I break the rules now too. My sister and I knew we had to step over the 5th step, and then we could easily sneak in. But if we stepped on the 5th step, it was like it creaked. Everyone heard the creak, and they'd be like, "Why are you awake?" Right? So this is how you skip over the 5th step. And so I have to sit down and I have to say, like, what knocks me out of the game? Like, what trips me up? And many of us know that there's like the same certain things that do it over and over and over again. So, you know, is it going out with friends? And, you know, do you have that one friend who, you know, what's supposed to be a quick drink turns into, wow, it's 10 o'clock? Is that, you know, is it the friend who always is like, oh girl, start your diet tomorrow, you know? Maybe it's family, you know, maybe it's your family, just, you go over there for, you know, events and they're just like, healthy. I bought a salad, and then like the salad has like, you know, Thousand Island dressing on it, right? So it's like, is it your family? Is it your family members? Is it social events, right? You know, are you a very social person and you're always going out? And so there's always like food and drink and everything else there. Do you travel? You know, I have a client that like, she eats like a rock star when she's home. When she's traveling, she's like a completely different person. She's like Jekyll and Hyde. You know, so as I'm like rattling these off, like, you know, start giving me in the comments, like, what are some of the things that trip you up on a regular basis? You know, are you an extremist that like when you're dieting, it's like, it has to look this way and I have to give up everything. And when I'm not dieting, it's like, release the hound, right? Where do you fall? Where do you fall in this? And so for so many people, no, I haven't talked about this here. So good. So for so many people, I feel like when we start to, you know, get healthier, fitter, we reach what I call my upper limit, right? And so upper limit is, it's a book called The Big Leap, and it's by Gay Hendricks. And in the book, The Big Leap, he talks about your upper limit. And all of us have an upper limit. All of us have it, and it's individual. And we all have a set point where we feel this is, we judge is, say dieting. If I say, you know, dieting should feel like this. And if all of a sudden I hit this level of like, whoa, I got there too fast, I start to freak out. I'm like, whoa, wait, what do you mean? I lost 5 pounds in 5 days, right? You're like, I shouldn't be able to lose 5 pounds in 5 days. It should be longer, it should be harder. So I'm gonna celebrate. And then, so to make it harder, to slow down the progress, right? And because I should struggle, it shouldn't be easy. I should be like fighting tooth and nail to lose the weight. And so that's what the upper limit is. It's all of us have it. You know, in the book, he uses this example that I think many parents will understand. He talks about how his daughter went away to camp. Hey, Martha. He talked about how his daughter went away to camp, and it had been like 3 or 4 days, and he hadn't heard from her. And he's like, what? There must be a problem. Like, she hasn't called me. Like, it's a problem. Like, there's something wrong. He just jumped right to that conclusion. Not like, hey, maybe she's having a really good time. And she's like, I don't need to talk to Dad because I'm having such a good time. I'll talk to him, you know, whatever their scheduled time to talk was. And that's how our mind works. You know, yesterday we talked about vacuuming out the crazy. That's the upper limit. That's like some of the crazy we have to vacuum out. All right, so hang on. So when I asked you guys a question, like what are some of your crazy things? I just love food and the ritual of food. Right, and agreed. That's a lot of people, you know, especially if you're a foodie. It is a challenge. But one of the biggest challenges, I have a girlfriend, she's a chef. And so she challenges herself to make healthy foods. And, you know, many people think healthy foods have to be like boiled and bland as fuck. No, spice. I am a spice-aholic. If I buy one more spice, I think I'm gonna get a divorce. But yeah, like you can like ritualize healthy foods. Like it's really like that's not a problem. Weekends, all or nothing. Yeah, Heather, you are not alone. I think Allison popped on here. It I get it. And we talked about like, I'm either on a program or I'm over here, like it's on like Donkey Kong, right? So one of the things that I want to, and we're going to talk about solutions, is grace, right? I have to give myself grace. And I have to tell myself that if I have like one fun food, it doesn't have to like undo all of my hard work. It's one fun food. It's, for me, one of my core values is balance. So I know that at least 2 to 3 times a week, I'm gonna have a fun food. It's what keeps me from losing my shit. And it's all or nothing, it's an experiment. You will have to experiment with foods to see what foods are not what I call trigger foods. Right? So a trigger food is a food that you eat that just, once you start, you can't stop eating it. Or it's a food that causes you to just become even more snacky. So example, ice cream. Over the years, I've like given myself all these experiments to like get, wean myself from that all or nothing mindset. Like before I could house a jar of peanut butter just having a conversation. Now I can have like 1 or 2 teaspoons of peanut butter and walk away. And it didn't happen overnight, it took time. So, I started buying just the smaller, like this, the smaller tubes of peanut butter. It started with not having any peanut butter. Then it was like, let me experiment with the smaller tubes of peanut butter and slowly kind of immersing myself into the peanut butter world. But ice cream, I can't have it in the house because I will eat the whole thing. Like I will be like a goldfish. I will blow up before I stop eating that ice cream. But the other thing, another trigger food for me, bananas. If I eat bananas, it makes me want to eat all day long because it's just not satisfying. So I eat all day long if I have a banana. Totally random. Banana is healthy. Ain't nothing wrong with a banana, but that's how it works out for me. So knowing those things about my food is starting to pay attention to like what happens to me when I eat certain foods, but also like starting to have those little experiments. And maybe as much as I hate this, and I'm gonna say it and no one throw it in my face later. So a lot of people who have those peanut butter issues will use PB2 as a gateway, so that they're not like housing a whole jar of peanut butter. But it's like giving yourself these little experiments that I can have food has no control over me. And it's like saying to yourself, I want to break this. You have to decide that you want to break it, because so many people will be like, I'm all or nothing, and they just like lay down. But you have to decide that you want to break this. Same as Karina, food is my comfort, makes me feel better. Yeah, a lot of people, it's comfort, it's stress release. And so one of the things that I always work with my clients about is we can't bypass our feelings, right? We want to. It's so much easier. Like, instead of having that argument with someone, it's so much easier to have a pizza, because the pizza's not going to yell back at you. And the pizza's not going to, you're not going to have to yell back at the pizza. But one of the things I always say, when food is your comfort, starting to become more conscious of pausing before you reach for the food, or before you reach for the wine, or before you reach, because that way you start to say, okay, this is what sets me off. This is where I have to, pause myself and not just reach for the food because it's easier for me to deal with food than it is for me to deal with whatever the emotion is. If it's, you're pissed off, or you're tired, or you're lonely, or, it's like being able to just say, all right, let me just take a breath, take a beat, check in with myself and what's going on. Again, not something that's going to happen overnight, but it's practice, right? It's practicing how do we stop falling into the same hole. Yep, Allison is an all or nothing person. Abby. Sasha says, I love to snack, so I know that for myself, I need healthy snacks in house, easy grab. Yeah, and the one thing I'm going to tell you about snacking is I want you to, maybe we talked about this. I've been doing a lot of stuff this week, so I'm like, I don't know if I talked about it to you, or if I talked about it to somebody else. One of the things about snacking, no, it wasn't to you. I recorded a podcast. Okay, all right. So you get a preview of a podcast I did. Let's talk about meals. All right, I know this is a little off topic of what we're talking about, but this will help Sasha and maybe help some of you. So when it comes to meals, we've grown up in the snack culture, right? I remember when I was growing up, we didn't have snacks. Like there was no juice boxes. Like we didn't have snacks. So, and if you wanted a snack, it was like your mom probably gave you like an apple, or at least that was what my mother gave me. But that was it. Like I went to school. I don't know if I ate breakfast. Yeah, I ate breakfast. We had Quaker's instant oatmeal is what I had for breakfast. Apples and cinnamon. That was my favorite. We had Quaker's oatmeal for breakfast. I had lunch at school. I came home, I had a snack, and then I had dinner, right? Now it feels like kids eat like every 5 fucking minutes. So what I want you to think about when you are having snacks, I want you to ask, are the meals you are having, are they satisfying? Because your meals should last you about 3 hours. And if your meals aren't lasting you 3 hours, you need to add some more substance to the meal so that you aren't snacking regularly throughout the day. Because snacking can also be, I'm hungry, but also snacking could also be a habit. You've taught your body that you need to eat at these specific times. And I know that for years, throughout the bodybuilding community, and then it's also spilled out into the real world, that you had to eat 5 to 6 meals a day to stoke your metabolism. There has not been any research that has been proven that is the case. So one of the things I've worked hard, hard with my clients on, I had to do it too, is to break myself of eating at a certain specific time and focus on, am I hungry? Or did I train myself to eat at 10:30? Did I train myself to eat at 1:30? Did I train myself to eat at 3 o'clock? Those chips, yeah. For me, I can't buy chips in my house. Like that, if we have chips, it's literally like it's a holiday. Like chips don't come in because that's another food that I just can't stop eating. Hey Sarah, nice to see you. Yes, stress release, need to find another. Yeah, absolutely. Stress is huge, and I'll put a link here. I'll put a link in the show notes as well. I'll put a link about. I did a podcast all about stress, so that might be helpful for you. And then Allison says, my mom used to say, if you're not hungry. Allison, see, I knew we were like separated at birth. My mom was like, I grew up, we always had fruit. It was always like, have some fruit. The little tangerines, apples, always have some fruit. That was always my mom's big thing. Okay, so I took us down a divergent, and then I'm back on track. So what are some of the solutions? I started giving you some solutions. My kids eat crappy snacks, so eat their crappy snacks. And Cheryl, here's the thing, right? I want your kids to be kids, right? Because you only get to be a kid once. But, I always say, find the balance. Yeah, Pirate's Booty is the rock star, but it's like, can I have like Pirate's Booty coupled with string cheese? Can I have Pirate's Booty coupled with, like real yogurt, not like the Go-Gurts of the world? Can you find that like happy medium with them? Because I feel like if we start to teach our kids like what healthy eating is now, it's not going to be this like big leap for them as adults to start to figure out, getting their taste buds tuned to healthier foods. If that makes any sense. Because I don't want you to be the parents who drops your kid off at like a friend's house and it's like, by the way, these are the rules for my kids. No fun. they can barely breathe air, and make sure you wrap them up in saran wrap, and then I'll be back in 2 hours. Like, I don't want you to be that mom. And trust me, if you were that mom that dropped a kid off to me at that house, I'd be like, yeah, play date canceled. Maybe that's why I don't have children. Because I totally would be odd mom out. So solutions, right? I'm a big goal fan, right? Like, what are my goals? And does this, my activity, my food, is it moving me closer or away from my goal? I always ask that question. You know, I lay in bed and, you know, on a cold winter's morning, I'm like, and the alarm goes off at 5 a.m., it's dark. I'm like, is this laying in bed gonna get me further away or closer to my goal? And 9 times out of 10, I'm like, it's gonna suck, but I'm gonna, like, how many rounds am I gonna go in my head if I don't go to the gym, right? How many rounds? So would I rather not have the Mike Tyson fight in my head and just get up and just go versus not going? I only give my wait, your grandmother, Sarah? I only give my grandbaby fruits or vegetable snack and most meals. Got to teach him out. Yeah, absolutely. And because you're a vegan, you know, what else are you going to have there? Here, honey, have some tofu. I think they're going to be like, we're never going to Grammy's house. Planning, right? One of the big things that everyone always trips over is planning. Have a plan, even a 24-hour plan, right? This is what I'm going to eat tomorrow. And it's like, all right, so for example, so today's Tuesday, tomorrow, what am I going to have? Okay, breakfast. I'm probably going to have a shake because I have a busy morning and it's just easier to have a shake while I'm on the go. So I'm going to have a shake. For lunch, I'm going to have a salad with chicken. So I'm going to have chicken, cucumbers, and a sweet potato. I've been mixing it together as a salad. Yum, yum, give me some. I know it sounds weird, but it's delicious. Oh, and sprinkling some feta. Oh, you want to slap your mama. So and then for dinner, I'm probably gonna, I think I have like either fish, some type of fish or salmon, right? So that's my loose plan. Tomorrow, and tomorrow I'm gonna work out. Boom, done. That's my day for tomorrow. Now, most people go into days like, tomorrow's Wednesday. And you just pretty much know, like, if you have to be somewhere first thing in the morning, but you haven't thought about what you're going to do for you. So with a 24-hour plan, it keeps me on task. I can't be like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to have for lunch. And then, like, you know, I get really hungry and then all of a sudden I'm just eating handfuls of shit because I'm starving. Where if I sit down and I just have a loose plan, and, you know, I'm going to reference like pre-corona times, but like it could be like, oh yeah, my plan was to have salmon for dinner, but it really could be that like my husband's like, oh hey, I forgot to tell you so-and-so's in town and we're gonna go out to dinner. Okay, so sometimes I might cook the salmon, or sometimes it might be like, all right, I'm just gonna have another serving of the salad for dinner because I don't feel like cooking for one person. So I have the flexibility, but it's like, it's that loose structure that lets you know, like, this is what's going to happen tomorrow, and I go in with the intention versus like, well, I plan to eat healthy, but I don't really have a plan other than I plan to eat healthy. So that tells me, what's that word? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so think about, how can I create this 24-hour plan? Learning to say no, right? No is a complete sentence. You know, so it's like, do you have to go to every social event that you're invited to? I know in Corona times, that's not, you know, as much as it used to be. But do you have to go to every event? Or, you know, I know when Corona first started, a lot of my friends were doing virtual happy hours. If I went to the virtual happy hour, did I have to drink? Or could I just come with water? Or could I just come without anything, right? You know, so it's like, think about, you know, it's like, it's okay it's okay to not be it's okay to be the person not drinking. It's okay. It makes other people uncomfortable, but other people don't have my goals. Demonizing food, right? Do you fall into that category of like, wheat's horrible, dairy's horrible, wheat's horrible, dairy's horrible. I'm like, what else do people demonize? Sugar, and you like ban all of those foods. And because you've banned all of those foods, you start to crave all of those foods, right? So instead, I always encourage my clients, it's like you don't ban foods unless they physically bother you. I know Allison is lactose intolerant. So yeah, her, banning dairy and like being like, oh, hell no to dairy, because she knows her body's just going to be like, if she has dairy, right? So I want you, if you're going to ban food, it's because your body will reject that food that you give to it, not because, hey, everyone else is giving up sugar this week in book club, so I'm going to give up sugar too, right? Pick your battles about what you're going to give up, and prioritize you, right? We probably spend more time planning, our summer getaway than we do planning our health. We'll get to our health, but our summer getaway, we're like, oh, we're gonna go here and we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Or your kids' activities, right? You're like, oh, Johnny's gonna go to swim camp, and then he's gonna go to baseball camp, and then, Sally's gonna go to ballet camp, and you've got them all planned out and structured, but you're like, well, I'll get to me, it'll happen, right? So like, plan you, be like, camp you, and figure out what you want, and make yourself a priority. Ask for help, right? In this Facebook group, I'm in this Facebook group every day. You can ask me anything and I will answer it. Now, I'm going to be very honest with my response. Sometimes you don't want to hear my responses, but I'm going to be very honest, and I will give you, you will always get an answer from me. I will not blow you off. Like it's not in my DNA to blow anybody off. Well, unless you're a weirdo, but no one in my group is a weirdo because I screen you very well. Good point. I'm a planner, but not for me. Yes, everyone is a planner, but not for, I'm a recovering winger. Like, I can start Wingers Anonymous. Like, when I first started this, I used to always try to wing shit, and then I would always be disappointed. And then I was like, okay, I have to stop winging it because I'm sick of being disappointed that I'm not getting the results that I wanted. Narrow it down to one thing, right? Most of us, when we say, I'm getting healthier this year, and this is my list, pick one thing, nail it, move on to the next thing. Pick one thing, nail it, right? I'll tell people the max 3 things, but no more than 3. Because when you try to do 50 things, that's when you like trip over your own feet. Because it's like, I gotta go to the gym, then I gotta eat healthier, then I gotta go to bed, then I gotta do water, then I gotta do vegetables, gotta. And then like, next thing you know, you're like overwhelmed, shut down. And so, the whole go big or go home, save that for other people, not you guys. All right, and then last thing, how do you put it all together? How do you put it all together for you? And that's where coaching comes in, where, for myself, it's like, I have this gift that I can look at your life and be like, all right, this is how we're gonna make it all work. And you're like, whoa, I never thought about it that way. Because we're so close to our lives, right? Even I love when someone looks over my shoulder and I think everything's great. And they're like, oh, what about that? What about that? What about that? And I'm like, huh, you're absolutely right. So it's like, you need that third party to just give you those tweaks. Like, I'm not that person who's going to come in and like blow up your shit. Like, that's not how I roll. Because it's like, no one wants anyone to come up and blow up the shit. But it's like, okay, did you think that instead of having maybe a full cup of oatmeal, if we scaled it back to 3/4 cup of oatmeal, let's see how that makes you feel. And start to play and tweak with the kind of meals that you're currently having. Or maybe like we talked about earlier, if you're having like 50 different snacks, I'm gonna ask you, can we make a bigger meal and see how that makes you feel. And then, again, experiments. All right, Joanne says, that is so true. I'm an all or nothing, and then I get overwhelmed and I quit. Yes, and so when we pick one thing and we win, you're like, let's go on. Next step. All right, so your homework for today is write up what trips you up. Right, ladies, like what you guys have all listed out things. I'm all or nothing. I emotionally eat. I stress eat. Write it all down. Like, this is where it's like, I own my shit. Then what are some of my preemptives, right? I have to have a preemptive plan. So when any of these things start to happen, what are some of the things that I can do that we talked about today? Like, what are some of the solutions I can have when that starts to creep up so that I can reach into my toolbox and start to use some of these tools versus just always fall into my same pattern? There's a I want to say it's a parable, and I need to find it because it's such a great parable. It's like, I walk down the street, I fall into a hole. I walk down the street, I fall into a hole. Then it's like, there's like 3 or 4 things, and it says, then I walk down a different street, right? I want you to walk down a different street because you keep falling into the same damn holes, all right? So that's what your homework is for tonight. Tomorrow it is all about connecting to why you want all this. And this is like my favorite day. Like, tomorrow's like my favorite. Tomorrow is like my jammy jam. But as always, questions, comments, concerns, leave them here. You will get the recap tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. It'll have today as well as yesterday. So if you missed yesterday's will be on there, and as well as today's replay. I love all of you. Have an amazing night. Stay cool because it's hot as balls here in Boston. I think most of you guys are here in the New England area. So stay cool, and hopefully you have some form of air conditioning. All right. See ya.